About a decade ago, the news of the construction of a mega bullet rail between Dallas and Houston made the headlines for as long as I can remember. But 10 years on, nothing is yet to be done about it, even tilling of ground. With lingering skepticism about Texas Central's ability to build a high-speed rail line, landowners along the route want the company to be more forthcoming about the project's status. Will the project still take place, or will it not? Let's find out in the video. Is the bullet train project still happening, or not? The Central Railway of Japan and the new Texas Central Railway stated in 2012 that they will construct a high-speed rail route between Dallas and Houston. The project was expected to cost $10 billion, be completed without the help of the government, and be operational by 2020. Yet the groundbreaking hasn't been announced 2 years after the service was meant to start. Landowners whose property would be needed to develop the train line have mostly opposed Texas Central during the last 10 years. The major question was whether Texas Central could take the properties via eminent domain. The Texas Supreme Court finally gave Texas Central the go-ahead to force landowners to sell. Yet, there is little to no sign of project development 3 months after the Supreme Court ruling. As a consequence, the landowner plaintiffs, who were turned down by the Texas Supreme Court, are now looking for clarification on the project's status. According to the Texan, Texas-based lawyer Patrick McShane of Beckham Portela, Dallas, wrote to Robert Neblett of Jackson Walker LLP, representing Texas Central, requesting clarification on project-related issues. In the letter dated September 29th, McShane summarizes the Texas Central project and notes that Carlos Alguia has resigned as CEO and that the board of directors for Texas Central as a whole has been abolished. The project has entered a hibernating period in search of finance, according to a report cited by him. The railway is apparently behind on property taxes in 8 counties. At the same time, McShane also states that the landowner inquiry's previous toll-free hotline 1844-TX train has been inactive for months. Texas Central's main office line has also gone unanswered for many months. Delinquency notifications are being rejected as undeliverable when sent to the Texas Central address found in the Secretary of State's records. The Dallas Police Department is located at 1400 Botham Jean Boulevard, which is the location for Texas Central's Dallas office. The 1021 Main Street, Suite 1570 office of Texas Central in Houston is up for lease right now. These are not indications that a business is pushing forward with plans to build a 240-mile, $30 billion+ first-of-its-kind high-speed rail line. Texas Central, according to McShane, is no longer pursuing construction of the project, and it will never be able to fund the $30 billion+ required to do so. This underlying worry is expressed in the letter. Our clients and other affected landowners, who may seek to sell or refinance their property, must first disclose that their property will be harmed by the project if it is constructed. This devalues their property and stigmatizes them. Landowners' freedom to utilize and enjoy their property is impeded. It just hurts the affected landowners. McShane contends that Texas Central must officially declare that the project is finished in order to protect involved landowners from additional damage. Alternatively, if Texas Central refuses to publicly acknowledge that the project is finished, he claims that the company will be forced to respond to inquiries about its present goals and intents. We plan to submit a Rule 202 petition to explore possible claims against Texas Central, McShane said. If Texas Central is unable to publicly indicate that it no longer intends to build the project, or alternatively, offer full and comprehensive answers to the questions above. The Texan claims that a Rule 202 petition would enable the landowners to cross-examine Texas Central while under oath in order to explore a prospective claim or action. Additionally, according to McShane's letter, Texas does not want to endure a repetition of the continuing high-speed rail tragedy in California. Cost estimates for the high-speed rail project in California have increased, rising from $45 billion in 2008, just before a statewide bond vote, to as much as $120 billion in 2022. A nearly 170% increase. This is a significant increase above the period's inflation rate of 30%. The 2008 projection included extensions to Sacramento and San Diego, which are not included in the current estimate. According to a recent analysis by economist Lee Ohanian for the Hoover Institution, the project costs are now roughly $200 million per mile. The Texas Central Railway's costs have already increased significantly from their initial $10 billion to $30 billion in 2020. This 200% cost increase is significantly higher than the period's inflation rate of 13%. But California and Texas differ greatly from one another. Taxpayers in California will be responsible for a large portion of the rising high-speed rail costs. Not so in Texas, where the legislature banned state funding for high-speed rail in 2017. The landowner plaintiff's current query is whether the high-speed rail project can ever move forward without a new funding source outside of Texas taxpayers. Legal movement. If Texas Central, the company that for 10 years has promised to build a bullet train between Dallas and Houston, does not provide more information about the impending project, a lawyer for nearly 100 property owners who are living with the threat of having their land seized said he will seek legal action against the company. Owners of properties that could be in the way of the rail track have asked the firm to respond to their inquiries. Property owner's attorney, Patrick McShann, said that he is ready to petition a court to grant him permission to depose the corporation, which has not provided many details regarding the project, in order to get information for his clients. 10 years after announcing plans to build a 240-mile bullet train between Dallas and Houston, that would be based on the Japanese Shinkansen trains, Texas Central is again facing legal action. The early euphoria about a high-speed rail train in Texas has subsided, and the corporation is now shrouded in secrecy. Carlos Aguirre, the CEO and the board of directors, left the firm, leaving it in the hands of an outside consultant, while Texas Central obtained permission from the Texas Supreme Court to use eminent domain to take possession of private land. The landowners McShann represents are in a bind because Texas Central hasn't been in touch. McShann asked about the company's management and the project's permits, among other things. Texas Central spent a substantial quantity of money purchasing land for this project, according to Robert Neblett, the company's lawyer. Neblett said that Texas Central has hundreds of parcels of land that were bought for this project, but he declined to validate the Texas Tribune's analysis of Texas Central's real estate holdings. Texas Central intends to get all Federal Surface Transportation Board certifications necessary to build and operate the project, Neblett said. Unidentified Texas Central executives reportedly said in a press statement sent by Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner's office that the landscape altered after March 2022, when the firm completed a reorganization process, and the future of the high-speed rail remains bright. Leaders in Houston and Dallas have long supported the plan to link the two cities. Turner predicted that the bullet train will boost the state's economy as a whole. The amount of land the firm has secured in the 10 years since the project was announced, and the amount of land still required for the bullet train, are still up for debate. Over 330 properties are owned by Texas Central in the 10 counties where the firm plans to develop. According to a Tribune review of information from regional appraisal agencies, some of those plots are as little as 1,500 square feet, or a tenth of an acre, while others include as much as 20 acres. Although some counties merely reported the market price, the assessed value of the properties was over $38 million. The possibility that Texas Central may utilize eminent domain to take over private property is one of the key worries of the landowners. The Texas Supreme Court determined in June that the corporation and its partners indeed meet the definition of interurban electric railway businesses, and may use eminent domain to acquire the land necessary to construct the high-speed rail project. Officials from the Texas Tribune Festival in September 2022 inquired about the likelihood of the project's success. The Texas Transportation Commission's Bruce Bugg said, "We last heard from them over a year ago." He claimed that the Texas Department of Transportation, which he is in charge of, provided technical advice for the Federal Railroad Administration's environmental review of the project, which was published in November 2020. However, Texas Central has ceased speaking with the state's transportation department since that time. The State House Transportation Committee's head, State Republican Terry Canales, D. Edinburgh, said that high-speed rail would be very beneficial to the state of Texas given the state's fast population expansion, but that it would probably need subsidies. The concept that it would be paid for and maintained by private business, the economies just don't work, Canales said. It should be something we have in the toolbox that we're going to think about, Canales said. Canales' worries about financing were echoed by State Senator Robert Nichols, a Republican from Jacksonville, and head of the State Senate Committee on Transportation. Nichols pointed out that every high-speed rail project needs public funding, but Texas Central has insisted that this is not the case with the bullet train. He said that since the project only benefits a small portion of the people, funding the train is not something he would take into account when creating the state budget. According to an examination of public documents, Texas Central has reduced its attempts to purchase property to construct the railway about the time that Bugg last heard from the firm. Since then, the company's visibility in the public has gradually decreased, and nothing is known about the status of the bullet train. Whether or not the Megaproject will actually be carried out still remains unknown. But let's keep our eyes on the lookout. Maybe we'll see a shocker. That's where we wrap it up for this episode. Let us know in the comments section what your thoughts are, and do well to send us your support by liking our videos and subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching.